What's up, world? I'm Cameron McKinney, and this is Pop Culture Spotlight, a podcast about the movie Hamnet. Here's a quick synopsis. Agnes and William begin a whirlwind romance, start a family, and then personal tragedy strikes, and they both grieve in different ways. The film stars Jessie, Buckley, Paul Mescal, Emily Watson, Joe Alwyn, and Jacoby and Noah Jupe. Standout performances. Everyone talks about how good Jessie Buckley is in The Lost Daughter and Women Talking. She, for me, is someone who is great in everything, including these underseen gems, Misbehavior, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and Men. Buckley is someone who plays characters who deal with real trauma, and there are some actors who play emotions over the top, and that's not Buckley's MO. She's subtle while still being the most entertaining person in every movie she's ever been in. It's fair to call Hamnet the ultimate showcase for Buckley because she's playing somebody in Agnes who is a mother who is really protective of her children, especially Judith, who she almost lost at birth. I sometimes feel like Jessie Buckley has been in movies where she's giving a performance far better than that movie deserves, and thankfully, that is not the case with Hamnet. I think we're getting really close to her being a household name, and that's a great thing because she is deserving of being a movie star. She's not just a great actress, she has movie star qualities where she should be the lead of big movies. I say this a lot on this podcast. Yes, a movie star is somebody who should be able to sell a movie in that they are in the movie, you want to see them. But in modern times, I really do believe a movie star is somebody who elevates every movie they are in. Like, the movie is better because this person is at the helm of it. And I feel that way about Jessie Buckley. Yes, I think Hamnet could be a very good movie with another actress in this role, but it could not be nearly as good as it is without Jessie Buckley. And that's all the more impressive because, like I said earlier, she does not have a look-at-me style of acting. It's not hyperbolic to say she's near the list of the best actress on the planet. I mean, the people that I could come up with is you have your Emma Stones of the world, you have Jennifer Lawrence. You can't have one of these conversations without bringing up the name of Cate Blanchett. I have some people on my list that maybe not everyone agrees with, like I think Alicia Vikander is near the top of the list. These are just people to me that are uber consistent. Like, they do not miss, and right now, Jessie Buckley is not missing when it comes to the movie she's in and the performances themselves. Jessie Buckley has another movie on the way, Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride with Christian Bale. I don't know about this one, but I desperately want to see these two actors together. They feel like polar opposites in that Christian Bale relies on physical transformations while Buckley is powered by emotions. Buckley's co-star in Hamnet is none other than Paul Mescal, who is playing Willam Shakepshere, and I've never seen him portrayed in this light. At the start of the film, he's a bit of a loser who has real anger towards his father and then meets Agnes and falls in love. I have to admit that I go back and forth when it comes to the kinds of movies I want to see Paul Mescal star in. On one hand, he's playing these really emotional, damaged characters better than anyone else could. But then on the other, I want him to surprise me more often and go out of his comfort zone. That's one of the reasons I loved that he was the lead of Gladiator 2, which I think he was very good in. For what it's worth, in my book, Mescal had a great 2025 between this film and the history of sound. I guess the weird thing to talk about when it comes to Paul Mescal is it feels like he's not winning anybody new over. Like, the people who have been on board with Paul Mescal since After Sun are still on board with Paul Mescal. I mean, nobody's leaving the train, but nobody is coming on board. And how you become a massive movie star is you win new people over. The most extreme example being Leonardo Leonardo DiCaprio. He had fans early on for What's Eating Gilbert Grape and Romeo and Juliet. And then he had that massive hit in Titanic that turned him into one of the biggest movie stars in the world. And I guess I'm left wondering if something like that will ever happen for Paul Mescal. I thought Gladiator 2 would be it, but that movie did not hit the way that I thought it was going to. For Mescal's career anyway. And the big fear being, is he ever going to get another opportunity to be in a movie as big as that? Like, is he ever going to get picked, or is he ever going to want to do a movie on that scale again? Is Christopher Nolan ever going to pick Paul Mescal to be the lead of one of his movies, or be the lead of a Denis Villeneuve movie? Like, I just don't know the answer to that, and I don't know how much Paul Mescal wants to be the lead of those kinds of movies. It seems like, it appears like he would rather be the lead of a movie like Hamnet, and I'm A-okay with that. I'm just saying I don't think doing that is ever going to turn him into a mega movie star. My feeling was that Mescal was the only male actor who had the opportunity to have it all in the same way that Timothée Chalamet does. Like, maybe Gladiator 2 was going to be his version of the Dune films that have elevated Chalamet to the next level. And that gets me to this. The first image of Paul Mescal as Paul McCartney has been revealed. These 4 movies are going to be a big deal for Mescal. I said the same thing about Chalamet as Bob Dylan. If he can pull that off, his career and star power will skyrocket. I think if these movies work, it will offset the mild reactions to him in Gladiator 2. I don't know if you've heard, but people love the Beatles. These Beatles biopics are going to be Paul Mescal's second chance at being a giant movie star, and I really hope they hit in a big way, because this is the kind of actor I want to be a movie star. I like almost every film I've seen Paul Mescal in. I think he can be a leading man. I think he can give captivating supporting roles as well. And maybe most importantly, I want the great directors of our time to work with Paul Mescal. Like I said, I want to see him in a Christopher Nolan movie, a Denis Villeneuve movie, a movie by Greta Gerwig. Buckley and Mescal are in the same boat in that they are, I think, both great actors, but are they ever going to be viewed as movie stars? Let's talk about the director and co-writer of Hamnet, Chloe Zhao. What happened with Chloe Zhao is what happened with many indie filmmakers this past decade. Taika Waititi, John Watts, Daniel Destin Cretton, and Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. They found success with smaller films and then were given the opportunity to direct a massive Marvel movie. Some found success, some did not. For Zhao, it was odd because Eternals came out right after the Best Picture winning Nomadland, and I don't know if that's the Marvel movie she wanted to make, but it does feel different from the rest. It was going for something that I think is noble. What makes Zhao the perfect filmmaker for Hamnet is her sensitivity to the story itself. She's not going big. It never felt emotionally manipulative. I was mixed on Eternals, but now I'm fully back on the bandwagon. She's one of the best directors working today. Going into Hamnet, I really didn't know what to expect, and what stood out to me is how this movie is really broken into 2 parts. One is the romance and the building of a family. You have these 2 outcasts who find each other, and the second half of the movie is about the aftermath of a horrible tragedy that I will not reveal and spoil on this podcast. I talk about this all of the time. I think the success and failure of a movie comes down to the structure, and this film has a brilliant one. Hamnet is a movie about grief and how people deal with it in different different ways. Not to get into spoilers, but the way that Agnes deals with a tragedy is very straightforward. She's not hiding her feelings, whilst William Shakespeare appears to carry on and continues to go to work. Shakespeare in this movie symbolizes how every creative person deals with grief. They deal with it by doing something creative. Some might view this movie as how men deal with grief and how women deal with grief. I think that's too basic. I think that's not giving the movie enough credit. I really do think it comes down to him being a creative playwright. Yes, some of that men and women stuff is in this movie, and that's okay too, but I like to look at it from the creative artist standpoint, that this is a guy who just doesn't know how to share his feelings, and the only way he knows how is to write it down. Box office. Hamnet has done better than a lot of the Oscar movies of 2025, making $71 million at the box office. Worth saying 10 years ago, this does get above $100 million. For example, in 1998, Shakespeare in Love made $289 million. It's a much different movie. It's a comedy. For Hamnet, though, this is more than a solid showing. Oscars. There was a fear at one point that we were going to have a repeat of 1998, where the aforementioned Shakespeare in Love beats out Saving Private Ryan, with Hamnet obviously being this year's Shakespeare in Love, and Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another being viewed as Saving Private Ryan. And here we are, and this does not appear to be the case. I would be beyond shocked to see Hamnet win Best Picture over One Battle After Another and Sinners. But stranger things have happened. The one major award this movie is going to win is Best Leading Actress. Jessie Buckley is going to win that award. Chloe Zhao also directed Frances McDormand's Oscar-winning role in Nomadland. Some people were upset by the fact that Paul Mescal was not nominated for his performance as William Shakespeare. I get it, but it is a bit confusing because he was kind of going for Best Supporting Actor, but he's really the co-lead of this movie. And the 5 actors that were nominated for Best Actor are great as well. I mean, it was a tough year for Paul Mescal to get in any of the 2 categories. I said this last week on the podcast about the film's sentimental value, and I feel the same way about Hamnet. It is a very good thing that this movie is not going to win Best Picture, because if it did win Best Picture, it would just get a bunch of outrage of fans of One Battle After Another and Sinners. Now, hopefully, the movie will just live in a quiet place and people will watch it and be moved by it. Like, I still don't understand the outrage about Shakespeare in Love. I rewatched this film for this podcast because both movies are about William Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare in Love. Gwyneth Paltrow deserved that Oscar and then some. And leaving the quality of the 2 movies aside, I would much rather watch Shakespeare in Love any day of the week over Saving Private Ryan, a movie I do like and admire. But I do agree with the overall thought that it would be odd for Hamnet to win Best Picture over the likes of Sinners and One Battle After Another. I think the winner is going to be One Battle After Another. I might regret saying this in the future, but it feels like we're headed towards an Oscars that's going to play out like it should. Like One Battle After Another should win Best Picture. Timothée Chalamet should win Best Leading Actor, and Jessie Buckley should win Best Leading Actress. And in the other 2 acting categories, I would love for either Amy Madigan or Teyana Taylor to win. I think they're both deserving. I desperately, I said this last week, want to see Stellan Skarsgård win for Best Supporting Actor. Big surprises could always happen. A bad surprise for Hamnet would be for it to win Best Picture, because that would just leave a bad taste in everyone's mouth. Getting back to the movie itself, I fully understand being wary of a film like this that is trying to force you to feel something, and oftentimes these films are not effective because all they have is that emotional arc. Hamnet is more than that. fact, the filmmaking is great, the performances are great, and most importantly, the ending is great. I have heard some people be negative towards this film's ending. That is just something I cannot get on board with. This is a movie that earned its ending, in my opinion. While I'm here to champion this movie, I'm also left wondering what the future is going to look like for the major players involved in the movie Hamnet. And I want to start with Chloe Zhao, because I am really intrigued where she goes from here. I mean, she's already made that jump to a Marvel movie. It feels like she's probably going to avoid franchise fare for quite a while. I mean, she is a director I want to see my favorite actors work with. Like, I'd love for her to work with Robert Pattinson, for example. And if you're an actress and you want to win an Oscar, you most likely want to work with Chloe Zhao. The question being, is this the kind of studio movie she's going to be making from here on out, or is the scale going to get bigger? I mean, it's never going to get as big as a Marvel movie. I mean, at one point there was talk of her making a Dracula film. I'd absolutely watch a horror film directed by Chloe Zhao. Sign me up for that immediately. And then one thought I had about the two actors in this film, and I'm sure I'm far from the only one who had it, is there should be at least 5 more movies co-starring Jessie, Buckley, and Paul Mescal. They just make sense together. They are both emotional performers who give intense and, dare I say, raw performances with every film that they make. They are a wonderful pairing. But it appears as though we are gone from the days of actors and actresses making multiple films together. I mean, after La La Land, I really thought we were headed towards 8 more films with Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. They have already made 3 films together, but none post La La Land. Make that make sense, Hollywood. What I really want is 3 more films written and directed by Chloe Zhao, starring Jessie, Buckley, and Paul Mescal. Because what makes Chloe Zhao the perfect director for these two actors is she understands their strengths as performers. She is subtle in the same way that they are. I mean, I love Aaron Sorkin, but Paul Mescal would not make sense in a film written and directed by Aaron Sorkin, and I feel the same way about Jessie Buckley. I mean, maybe later on in their careers they're going to evolve to a point where they become those kinds of actors, but right now they act through their faces and they act through how they are feeling. They don't tell you, they show you. And in that sense, they are the perfect actors for Chloe Zhao. But then again, I would also love to see them co-star in a film directed by somebody else. I mean, that's the great thing about actors pairing with one another. You get to see them work with multiple directors. With very few movies can you compare a director to their leading actor, but you can do that with Chloe Zhao and Paul Mescal, because Chloe Zhao made a huge blockbuster that most people did not feel great about, and Paul Mescal made a blockbuster where a lot of people question his involvement in. And the sentiment was that they were making movies that they did not fit well with. Long term, I have no idea if that's going to be the consensus, but that is the big question for both of these two moving forward. Does Chloe Zhao want to write and direct massive studio movies? Does Paul Mescal want to be the leading man in giant studio movies? Only time will tell. I'm rooting for both of them because I think they're great at what they do. And I do want to say I just rewatched Gladiator 2 and I am fully on board with Gladiator 3. Like, I want that to happen. I want Paul Mescal to re-team with Ridley Scott on Gladiator 3. I think he would be better playing that character a second time, even though I think he's really good in Gladiator 2. Our feelings towards actors and directors change all of the time, so maybe in the next few years we are all going to feel completely different about Paul Mescal and Chloe Zhao. Whether or not that's the case, you should watch the film Hamnet. You're going to feel something. These are two top-notch actors at the top of their game and a director who knows the kind of movie that she is making. Thanks for listening to this edition of Pop Culture Spotlight. I'm Cameron McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every Thursday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I highly recommend you check out Hamnet. Next week on the podcast, I'm talking about the film Ella McKay, starring Emma Mackey, written and directed by James L. Brooks. So tune into that and please rate, review, and subscribe.